Cool. Good. Well, howdy there, guys. It's another beautiful day out here in Pasture, and I figured a good a time as any to work on some of the another box in the well, hey guys, so let's go ahead and go over that first box there, that second box, whatever you want to call it, in our groundwork formula. And that is working on the lead line or the long line, and just getting the ability to lead correctly and do our groundwork routine the way anybody should. So let's go ahead and start with that first thing there is giving to the pressure behind the pole. So if we were to walk away, that takes the slack out of the rein or the lead line and puts pressure right behind this guy's ears. Now, especially if he's like distracted by something, for instance, he wants to graze, he could get a little heavier before he'd pick up his nose. So that's pulling straight on the halter. Now, if you pull sideways on the halter, off to the side, you see how that actually gets a little bit more of a reaction? If I step onto this side, see if we can tip his nose towards us. That's working on the nose pressure there. So that's the second thing in that box. So our exercises today are going to be kind of going over and sorting out how to gain or get your horse to give to the nose pressure, give to the pressure behind the pole. And the way we'll do that is through first sending and facing. All right, so let's start off with sending. The first thing we always want to do is give a pre-signal before we ever ask our horse for anything or go to using our stick. We want to be able to give them fair warning and show them that we asked first. So I'm going to do something a little difficult for him. I'm going to ask him to walk off to the right here. I'll do that by pointing right, and surprise, surprise, we get a busy signal. So then I'll start to wake up the stick, and then I'll start to walk the direction I'm pointing, and if he runs into the stick, that's his fault. Now, Nickle's actually pretty good at this, so I'm not giving him as much of a chance as younger horses, but this is more of a tune-up kind of a workout because he's been, for the past year, teaching a lot of lessons, and so he's been getting away with a bunch of things. So we'll try again. I'll point. There, I got his attention, pick up the stick, and before I started moving, he starts moving off. Good. So now we have the ability to send him to the right. And you see how he's maintaining that? It's because you allow him. So right here, he said, I'd rather like to stop. And you see how close he is to me? He's almost up in my grill. So I'll point again and I'll say, no, thank you, and try to send him out. And you see how he was kind of close to me? We're going to fix that over the next few times. And you see where he gets distracted, he starts thinking about the grass instead of walking around or trotting around. So we'll go on to our next step, which is facing. I'll tip my head, walk towards his hindquarters, and there he should face me and want to come in. That's a pretty good response. So we'll send him out the other way. Point. There. And he's giving me a little bit more room this direction. Yeah, there we go. You see, this point right here, he decided he wanted to go the other way. I say, nope, you run into a barrier when that happens. So, there we go. Now he's kind of keeping that momentum and that energy around, and I'm not working very hard to get him to go around me. That's the whole beauty of this. You want to wait for your horse to make a mistake before you'd try and correct it. So if he was looking like he wanted to break to the walk or stop here, I have to, there he broke to the walk. If I'm gonna have to wait, if I wanted to really speed him up, I'd have to wait either till he stopped like that and go, oh, you should be going. And there that can be a bit of a correction. Or it's a whole new idea. It's not, hey, you should keep trotting. It's, hey, you should trot again. So for instance, right about, there he almost broke. Right about, oh, heard a little noise. So then I'll say, nope, keep going around this way. Don't worry about the noise. And if he's real worried about it, we'll send him back the other way towards it. And let him go kind of around. Hey, that's good. Point. Say, nope, keep going the way I ask you. Doesn't matter how scary it is. You see how he's doing a lot of moving and my feet are kind of staying right in the middle and I'm just pivoting around? Whoever's in the pecking order of horses, whoever's feet moves most is the most submissive. All right, so let's see if we can get a face from this direction. I'll tip my hat, walk towards his hindquarters, and we'll keep going around. There we go. You see how he's really moving that hindquarter away from me and drawing his nose towards me? That's what we're looking for, and just sustain that motion. So you see where it says on the sheet, pivot, that's exactly what we're doing here, is if you continue the face and continue walking towards your horse's hips, you should be able to pivot them on their front shoulders. Good. And if they get a little close, oh, you could say something like, hey, get out of my space. Good. Then I'll point off to the right, say send. I don't have to say the word send, but that's what I'm saying when I point. And then we'll look for the face on this side. Walk in. There you go. And keep that body language exactly the same. And you see how he just pivots around on that front end. Pretty good. Then I'll just, so where it says draw in and back up, well, if we were to walk away from our horse, that's pretty much teaching him how to draw in. Now we want to get the other end of that first. So if you want your horse to back up, you could act like you're flicking water towards their eyes. You could bounce this rope in between your hands. You could wave your stick back and forth. Just kind of figure out whatever's most comfortable for you and stick to it as your ask. That's actually pretty good for a backup there, especially for this guy. So there he gets distracted again. Let's ask for his attention again. I'll point, start to let my string out. There we go. And then I'll relax once he goes. Then we'll ask him to speed up. Point, pick up the stick and relax. Then let's ask him to face. Good. Send the other way. Very nice. Face. Good. Back up a little. Let's see if we can back him out to the end of this rope about. We're pretty good. So then let's see if we can draw him in. Get his attention back, say hey. And then I'll start going hand over hand on this rope. There we go. There, and he's pretty willing to draw in, as you can see. Good. Well, all right. So then the last thing on that list in the first box there is next to send, it says pivot on the hips or pivot moving the shoulders. So how you do that is first you'd say maybe send out, make sure that you can move your horse's shoulders. Right there, he was a little stiff for me. Let's speed him up. Disengage, change direction. Disengage, change direction. There, that shoulder moves over a little more like I'd like. So then we'll ask him to face. Good. And then I'll go ahead and point like we're going to send him over, and then I'll start walking and walk into his shoulder, into your horse's neck. And you see how he's pushing on me here? So then I could get my carrot stick in the way and say, no, it's not like that. Let's try this again, because Nickle's, this is kind of an interesting little evasion here he's giving us. So we'll send over, and then we'll start walking towards that eye and looking for him to move away. There. And if he tries to stop or push his shoulder into me, then my hand right here by his eye can kind of wake up and say, oh, this is coming. If he stops back there, I can use my neck or my carrot stick. And you see how this is his difficult thing right here, is yielding those shoulders away, because he's kind of a little bit of a left brain horse, which would make him a little more dominant. And this is a pretty submissive maneuver to ask of your horse. So let's try the other side. Send, and then bring that nose through. That's a little better. Sometimes the carrot stick up front, see how bendable he is? You just keep that pressure right by the eye till the shoulders follow. See how he bends? But there, then he moves his shoulder. We'll speed him back up. And anytime he gets a little too close to me, you know, I might just cause a little pressure inside myself, or inside this little personal space bubble, to cause him to move out. Good. Look for him to face. Very nice. So, and then send those shoulders through. There's a little better. There's our shoulders getting out of the way. Change. Move these shoulders, move them through here. Pick a nice spot to do it. See how he's a little bit resistive there? We'll just speed him up. Pivot on the shoulder, then pivot the hips. There we go. Yeah, good. And then there, finish that with a forward motion, because he's trying to back away and out of it. So there we go. There's that first box there. That's teaching your horse how to give to the nose pressure. And if he doesn't, you can add a little pressure behind on his hips, just to add it in a different location, a little indirect pressure. Send that shoulder out. Hips away. Good. And then if you wanted to, you could actually add those two things together. You could pivot your horse's hips, then switch your stick and push those shoulders through. And that was a little hard for him. So let's try that again. Make him do this a little more athletically. Walk in, pressure on the hip. Ask him to move it away a little bit more. There we go. And then change and move the shoulders through. Pivot the hip. There. Then change my hand. Keep pivoting that hip through. And switch. That was a little better. So if your horse gets real close to you and comfortable with you, let's see if you can speed him up a little. That's the nice part about this training line. There is enough room that they can canter as long as they keep themselves balanced. There, good. Draw, send out the other way. There you go. Find your way through. Good. Then face. Good. Then shoulders. Yeah. Good boy. Then hips. Around. Then shoulders. Good. There we go. So that would be kind of your first little goal that you'd want to get to with your horse, is just the ability to send, face, back up, draw in. There you go. Then of course, after you get them to move around all that much, that's all sensitizing work. Then you want to come back in with whatever tool you used and make sure that they know that as long as your body isn't doing something, that the tool doesn't mean anything. There we go. So even after tapping them with it and making them kind of respect it and get out of the way of it, you see Nickle's actually not too worried about this stick touching him anywhere. He'll just let the stick and string, excuse me, flop all over the place. Then another good thing to check, especially if you have a lunge line or something, is can you spank the ground next to your horse? And as long as you're careful and keep your hand close to your center of gravity, excuse me, as long as you're careful and keep your horse close, or keep your hand close to the center of gravity, your horse should just stand here. So you see Nickle has had some good practice at that. And then come back in and rub it away. Change again, slap the ground, all the way close to him, and then flop it over. Good, rub it. Looking good, Nickle. So then let's try to send one more time. Make sure that that means something, and say, no, you can't walk on top of me. Look for a face. Good, a back up. Nice. Send the other way. And show him that when my hand is pointing, it does mean something. He's one of those horses that gets very confident very quickly. Then look for change. Send. Change. Send. There it goes. And then flop the stick over and rub them. Another thing you could do is while your horse is in motion, do a little desensitizing. Make sure that that stress is totally gone. Good. Well, all right then. So if you can get all that stuff, hey, pretty good. Keep on going. Keep on working at it.